representatives of the poultry industry, researchers, policymakers, diverse stakeholders. It is indeed a great honor and also a profound sense of responsibility that I feel today to deliver the thematic address, which is titled Outlook of Sustainable and Profitable Poultry Farming for Viksit Bharat. You see, this theme deeply resonates with our aspirations as a nation as we march towards the year 2047, the centenary year of our independence. It's a vision of transforming India into a truly developed nation. It is a national aspiration to foster a self-reliant and prosperous economy characterized by comprehensive advancements across multiple societal and economic dimensions. I am reminded of the great Chinese philosopher and thinker Confucius, who said, "If you think in terms of a year, plant a seed. If in terms of 10 years, plant trees. However, if you think in terms of 100 years, teach the people." The foundational framework of this vision of Viksit Bharat, following the wisdom of Confucius, rests upon four strategic pillars. And what are these four strategic pillars? Yuva, the youth; Garib, the poor; Mahila, the woman; and Kisan, the farmer. So the vision of Viksit Bharat very strongly emphasizes inclusive growth as a core principle, resting upon these four solid foundations. Ladies and gentlemen, the overarching goal of Viksit Bharat 2047 extends beyond mere economic expansion to encompass social equity, global competitiveness, environmental sustainability, technology, and most importantly, transparent governance. Specific objectives which have been articulated in the vision as outlined in the vision document include eradication of poverty, ensuring universal access to high-quality education and healthcare, achieving 100% skilled labor with meaningful employment opportunities, the emphasis on meaningful employment opportunities, and significantly increasing women's participation in economic activities and the national workforce. A crucial and critical objective of Indian farmers is to transform the country into the food basket of the world. People of my generation would recall that there was a time immediately after independence when India was derided globally as the basket case economy, and especially its agriculture. And from that basket case, now we are very surely, albeit slowly, emerging as the bread basket of the world. And that is what the vision of Viksit Bharat is. Economically, India aims for its GDP to surpass US $7 trillion by 2030 and reach an impressive nearly 35 trillion by the year 2047, with per capita income projected to increase to US $21,000 within the same time frame. The anticipated shifts in sectoral contribution to GDP by 2047 indicate a structural transformation, with agriculture's share projected to decrease to 12%, while industrial sector is expected to reach 34%, manufacturing 25%, and services remaining stable at the present level of approximately 54%. Now, initially, this projected reduction in agriculture's contribution to GDP, today it is around 18%. Now, the projected reduction is to 12%. It might appear very counterintuitive for a nation which places farmers at the apex of Viksit Bharat vision. However, reduction of agriculture's contribution to GDP is a characteristic of developed economies because the trend is to shift the economic activities from the primary sector to the secondary and the tertiary sectors and focus more on productivity and value rather than absolute and mass production. For the Kisan pillar to thrive amidst this structural adjustments, the focus must move from the quantitative share in the agricultural output to the qualitative enhancement and generation of greater value. This would imply a significant increase and enhancement of productivity per farmer, which would require a robust emphasis on value addition within agriculture sector and a strategic diversification of rural incomes beyond traditional crop cultivations. Now, where does poultry industry figure? Now, globally, the poultry industry within the entire ambit of the agriculture sector is recognized as, quote, dynamic pillar of global agricultural economy, providing indispensable and preferred source of nutrition to billions worldwide. The remarkable growth trajectory and inherent adaptability of poultry underscore its central role in addressing global food security imperatives. Among animal proteins, poultry distinguishes itself through its superior production efficiency, rapid growth cycle, competitive pricing, rendering it as an accessible and cost-effective dietary staple across a wide spectrum of income levels. A notable characteristic of poultry sector has been its demonstrated ability. I would focus on the word demonstrated ability to maintain positive growth and recover swiftly and recover swiftly even amidst very serious global challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the widespread avian influenza, which is raising its ugly head time and again. In the morning, Dr. Makhija would bear me out. We were discussing that poultry was the most shining example during the COVID-19 pandemic, when neither the poultry production nor the egg production got any severe beating as the rest of the economic sectors did. This consistent pattern of adaptability and recovery positions poultry as a relatively more reliable protein source, and this is what is expected of the poultry industry and all its stakeholders, to join hands and position poultry as the most reliable, most preferred and accessible protein source, which could be a redressal to the severe problem of malnutrition and protein deficiency amongst our population, especially the growing children. This inherent strength suggests that even when the industry encounters future challenges, its structural attribute of quick turnaround time and capacity to absorb shocks shall ensure its continued upward trajectory, making it a secure option for long-term investment and policy focus compared to other agricultural sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a sustained increase in global demand for animal protein, with poultry consistently favored over other animal proteins for its versatility, perceived health benefits, and its comparatively low carbon footprint when juxtaposed with red meat. Growing health consciousness and dietary preferences are actively boosting poultry consumption, leading to a broader societal shift towards protein-rich diets. The global poultry sector is clearly on a trajectory of expansion. There have been significant increases projected both in production and consumption. Global poultry meat consumption, according to a study of FAO and OECD, is projected to reach 160 million tons retail weight equivalent by the year 2033, a volume which is expected to account for half of the total additional meat consumed during this period. Annual global production of poultry is forecast to increase by over 15% during this period, reaching 162 million tons by the year 2034. This impressive growth is largely attributed to increasing demand and the comparatively lower initial costs associated with poultry production relative to other meats. Focusing specifically on chicken meat, the global market is projected to reach 133 million by the year 2035, that is 10 years down the line. Market value is anticipated to reach 286 billion US dollars at a compound annual growth rate of 2% in value and nearly 1% in volume. The poultry sector continues to stand as one of the most dynamic and rapidly expanding segments within the nation's agricultural landscape. Its growth trajectory reflects a significant transformation from traditional backyard poultry to a sophisticated, highly integrated and organized commercial enterprise. The difference now between poultry and other segments of agriculture is that while agriculture has farmers, in poultry the farmers are also becoming entrepreneurs. I would not go into the figures of where India stands. You are all stalwarts of the poultry industry. You know that the spectacular growth of the poultry sector in terms of production it has met. Now we sit atop the world, whether it's a meat production or the egg production. So I would not go into that. What it underscores is the dynamic and responsive nature of this sector. And this continuous scaling up is not merely about achieving larger production volumes. It also signifies the industry's capacity for adaptation and modernization. Such robust growth positions India just not as a major producer, but as a potential global leader in poultry, directly supporting Viksit Bharat's overarching goal of enhancing global competitiveness and establishing India as a key global player by the year 2047. Poultry's economic footprint extends significantly across the Indian economy. It's a major employment generation. Today, you would bear me out, I think it directly and indirectly, it is supporting more than 4 million job opportunities, predominantly in rural areas. So this substantial capacity to absorb labor is particularly vital for two pillars of our Viksit Bharat, that is Garib, poor, Kisan, that is the farmer, as it translates into direct income generation, improved livelihoods for a large segment of population, fostering rural prosperity and reducing inequality. Dr. Shukla, I'm within time, or because this has stopped at 30 only. Huh? Okay. Now coming to the most significant aspect of poultry. You see, we keep patting ourselves on the back that we are the second big egg producer of the world, we are the fifth meat producer of the world, this is the kind of money we are generating. But at the end of the day, poultry is a source of food and nutrition. We rarely talk in terms of poultry's contribution to food and nutrition. We talk in terms of its contribution to the economy, in terms of money, in terms of production values. Sir, Viksit Bharat would have no meaning if our population continues to be malnutrition. Protein malnutrition is pervasive. It's a silent crisis across India affecting millions. Over 80% of our population fails to meet their daily protein requirements, with a staggering 74% identified as protein deficient. Now, a country which boasts of becoming Viksit, a developed nation and competing as a global powerhouse, this is a very serious issue. The average Indian consumes only 0.6 grams of protein per kilogram body weight daily, whereas the ICMR recommendation is 1 gram per kilogram. So there is a huge gap. This deficiency has adverse consequences, including stunted growth, impaired cognitive development in children, reduced muscle mass, weakened immunity, and decreased productivity in adults. Ladies and gentlemen, you would know that as far as waste and stunting amongst children is concerned, we are at the bottom of the world, somewhere near the bottom of the world, competing with the poorest of the countries in terms of the serious issue of waste and stunting in children. Poultry products, particularly eggs and chicken, are a solution to this national challenge and national crisis. As I had said earlier, they are amongst the most affordable and most readily available sources of high quality protein, containing all essential amino acids not found in many plant-based foods, along with vital vitamins, minerals, and beneficial fats. Their versatility and ease of preparation make them suitable for diverse dietary preferences across various income groups. The critical role of poultry in improving public health and human capital is evident. I would re-emphasize, while we talk in terms of the stellar achievements we have made in terms of production, in terms of productivity levels, in terms of poultry's monetary contribution to the economy, generating employment, the most critical aspect would be role of poultry in improving public health and thus improving the quality of our human capital. Increasing the per capita consumption of poultry products, which currently lags significantly behind the recommended levels, can directly address widespread protein deficiency. And this is what the industry needs to address with utmost seriousness and diligence. While the Indian poultry sector is poised for significant contributions to Viksit Bharat 2047, it also faces severe critical challenges that necessitate strategic interventions. And those are the challenges which I find from the program the subsequent speakers would be addressing. I'll just flag a few. Some of them are the volatility and the high cost in the prices of feed, the conflict between national priorities of energy production and nutritional security, leading to shortages and availability of various inputs like maize, etc., stagnant yields of soya bean. These are some of the issues, some of the many issues which threaten the consistency of the growth trajectory of poultry and its ability to contribute to Viksit Bharat's economic goals. Another highly susceptible, serious area where poultry is vulnerable is the repeated disease outbreaks. And I think Professor Mittal is going to address those issues and others are going to address those issues, how to tackle them. Lastly, I would draw your attention to another significant structural inefficiency which our poultry has. While we claim that figure of nearly 80% or maybe more than 80% of poultry is highly structured and integrated and along the value chain and the supply chain, but a gross structural inefficiency is the prevalence of wet markets in the Indian poultry industry. The figures quoted is somewhere more between 90 to 95% of poultry is distributed through the wet market channels. Now this is an issue which again poses serious questions of safety of the food product, safety of the hygiene, and also the quality of the protein and nutrition which is being supplied through poultry. While our wet markets may be culturally ingrained in our system, Time has come for the industry to join hands to move from wet markets to more processed products, and at the same time look at reinventing the wet markets. After all, in several countries, wet markets are actually national treasures. They are the places, tourism places to visit. This is an area which the industry needs to address to move towards the goal of Viksit Bharat. We have a very strong backyard poultry, and backyard poultry sustains the fourth pillar of Viksit Bharat, that is the women, because women are the lifeline of backyard poultry. So poultry in a way is also a source and a medium for women empowerment, as also social equity, incorporating all sections of society. Now, for the future, while we are moving towards the Viksit Bharat, a developed nation by the year 2047, 100 years of our independence, there are certain strategic imperatives for the future, which would include, I would reiterate, investment in value-added processing to generate higher economic returns, aggressive pursuit of global export markets. Like Dr. Makhija, we were discussing, while we may boast to be the second biggest egg producer in the world, when it comes to the global export markets, we are below even small countries like Lithuania. We are somewhere at 30th position or so. So if the vision of Viksit Bharat also positions India as a global economic powerhouse by 2047, poultry has to very seriously and aggressively look at export markets, deeper technological integration across the entire value chain, so that the smaller player also feels that he's an integral part of this chain, not just one of the several cogs in the wheel. These challenges, various challenges, are not separate standalone challenges. They are all very strongly integrated. Their interdependencies must be realized. Lastly, we need a continued collaboration between government, industry stakeholders and research institutions if we need to navigate future complexities. Now, this is, I think, 2 years back when from this stage itself, I addressed Poultry India. It was with great anguish that I explained that I feel that poultry sector in India, though, has made very impressive and stellar advances in terms of technology, in terms of genetics, and in terms of markets. However, it is still talking in different voices. We find that there is no cohesion between the sector. And whenever there is a crisis, one section feels that, well, the crisis belongs to the other section. I will stay away. So in case we are talking in terms of poultry being sustainable and profitable for Viksit Bharat, there has to be a continued collaboration between government, industry, stakeholders, research institutions. It would be paramount if we need to capitalize on emerging opportunities, positioning India's poultry sector as a global leader and a cornerstone of Viksit Bharat by 2047. Renowned economist, American economist Joseph Stiglitz says, "What separates developing economies from developed countries? What separates developing countries from developed countries is as much a gap in knowledge as a gap in resources. We, ladies and gentlemen, through the poultry sector, are truly destined to bridge this gap shortly, and poultry's contribution would be pivotal in it." Thank you so much.